That might be some common sense for people, but for other people, it might be a bit weird, alien thoughts. Especially if you're a student, again, or if you are still in the learning phase. Because one of the biggest mistakes that I see every time that I'm getting some students that I need to teach and that I need to coach in order to get their first job, get into the industry once they graduate generally, is that the biggest mistake that they are making is that they think it's all about technique. And 2 days ago, I was talking with a buddy of mine. He's insanely talented. He's like insanely good, like art director, senior level. But he's focusing so much on the technique and not on the rest. Not on getting his work seen and stuff like that. He's still at the beginning of his career. While he could be like asking for easily 500 to 700 per day. Being working like at One Pixel Rush or Activision on Call of Duty as an art director or as a senior, no problem. So self-sabotage last week was kind of pertinent for that kind of person. And this is a playbook on how to get your first job. And this entire week will be dedicated about the first job. We're going to be talking about negotiations, art tests, some traps that might be common during interviews, stuff like that. And also the power balance between you and the company and how to avoid getting wrecked by the company. Or getting into very, very bad situations. The kind of situation that we have been hearing about the last few years. From some shitty journalism like Kotaku, Polygon and stuff like that. To avoid that. So yeah, my premise of today's presentation is that it's not all about the technique. Technique matters, but it's like 50% of the job. A lot of students are only focusing on the technique all the time. That's normal because at the school, you focus mainly on that. For 3 to 5 years, you have been conditioned to only think about the techniques, the grade, doing some nice renders for, to have good grades. And school, even the good ones, they are very rarely talking to you about the mindset. Basically, they are teaching you how to do stuff. They're teaching you how to do it. But they are not teaching you how to behave. To reach for a job and stuff like that. If the school is good, with the jury, as we mentioned, technically, if you succeed on your jury, they should be hiring you almost straight once you get your jury done. Oh, thank you. Yes, Peachy. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Yeah. Technically, if the jury is doing its job and if the school has been doing its job, the jury should hire you pretty fast. If that's not the case, you are in that stage where you are not a student anymore, but not a pro either. You're in the limbo a bit. That's a very uncomfortable and stressful situation that we talked about 2 weeks ago. In that case, you must not focus only on the technique all the time. Technique is good. Wow, thank you, Stack79. Thanks for the follow. 4 viewers already. So technique is good. You might want to improve that, but you also need to develop how you are approaching companies, what you are putting in your portfolio and stuff like that. Because most of the case, most of what I've seen in students that are not managing to get some jobs, I could again talk about the famous Bob, which is exactly a typical case, but a lot of other students I've seen, they already have the level to work in the industry. It's not about the level. The first problem is about their expectation on how the company is hiring people. I still believe that, oh, we want someone that is an artist and bringing something to the table. No. Maybe later, once you are a senior or an art director, yeah. But when you are a junior, when it's your first job, you just need to do your job and to do what they want. You won't be working the super sexy main characters and stuff like that, the $1 million characters that are responsible for the success or the failure of the game. But you will still have to do everything else that the seniors and art directors don't have the time to do, basically. But still need to be done anyway. That's the first mistake in their expectation. The second mistake they do is that generally their portfolio is garbage. I want to talk about the portfolio today, mainly because your portfolio is like an open window to watch how you are as an artist. What is your process? What is your level? What is your style? What do you like to do? And a lot of people, especially coming from bad schools, they have a bit of everything, which have been basically all the exercise they have been doing the last 2 years. So one day it's like baby superhero. The next subject is like a freak show made with cartoon style. And it's like, okay, let's make something realistic about World War II. And when you look at the portfolio, you're like, what the fuck is that shit? There's a bit of everything and nothing at the same time. We have no idea what's the specialty of that person, because the school asks generally people to be doing both environment and characters and creatures and props and a bit of everything. It's like jack of all trade, but master of none. And it's like, we don't know what this person is good at, and we don't know what this person wants to do. Because that person wants to do realistic, stylized, modern, medieval, historical, fantasy, sci-fi. I have no idea. It's too confused. It's a bit of everything. And again, jack of all trade, master of none. So it's like open space for a lot of mistakes, basically. So aside from the technique that you should always try and do your best to improve, it's also about the mindset. We are talking a lot about that on that channel. It's about the social skills. Even if you are like a social monster, I'm the first one to be a social monster, you can still navigate that rightfully without any issue. And mainly how you are approaching a company and what you are presenting them. What you are presenting to them. So the first thing that you should do when you are looking for your first job is to make sure that your companies you will be applying to are open to hiring people, especially hiring juniors. The company must say that they are hiring juniors and interns. It might depend on your job. Sometimes when you are a 3D artist, it might be a bit easier for you to join a company like NPC or stuff like that. If you're a concept artist, for example, NPC is kind of out of the way for your first job. Same, for example, let's say you want to work at Bungie. I think it's Bungie. You guys making Destiny. They are not hiring juniors at all. No 3D, no concept art, because it's sci-fi, it's too hard. Some of the guys like BioWare. Maybe in 3D they might be hiring some good junior specialists into sci-fi, but for concept art, you have no chance. Same with, for example, Ubisoft. If you want to work on Assassin's Creed as a junior 3D artist, no problem. As a concept artist, it's only by seniors and art directors. At least it was when it was the time of Rafael Lacoste. Now, we don't know. However, for Ubisoft, for example, there's Assassin's Creed that is like the high-end, high-level expectation job. But also you have, for example, the Division. It's not the lower end, it's as prestigious, but in terms of design, it's a bit easier. So again, they are hiring junior 3D artists, no problem. Level artist, level designer, story, writers, stuff like that. But as the subject is a bit easier to handle, this might be open to juniors. This was the case when I applied. So within the same company, there might be different projects, and some of them might be senior only for your field of work, and others might be accessible for you as a junior. So you need to do a bit of your research about that and figure out how to do that. So maybe you're looking for people working on that project. Is there any junior working on that project? There's not. Maybe there's no junior at all on that project. A website I would advise you to check if you want to find the different companies, because that's something else that is kind of hard. It's like, I don't know any companies aside from the big names. Yeah, there's thousands of them. You just Never heard about them. There's a website called Gamedevmap.com. This website. And basically, you can just search per country. Let's pick France, for example. And you have all the video game companies in France. If you click on the blue names, you have the website. And then you can start doing your research on, do they have job position open? Are they hiring juniors? What are their requirements? What is their style? What is their contact email address and stuff like that? You have the type of game, you have the city, and you have the country. And the state or province if you are like in the US or Canada or a bigger country that has states. Oscar, hello. The name of the website, let me reshare the screen. It's called Gamedevmap.com. I can't put a link in the chat. You just remove the spaces and you have the website. Yeah, this is a way for you to figure out all game dev studios by where you live. It's worldwide. You know, there's 100, but there's just in France, at least on that website, there are 324. That's a lot of companies to apply to. So when someone is telling me, I tried all the companies, nobody wants me, unless their work is shit, my first reflex is like, have you checked Gamedevmap? No. How many companies have you applied to? I don't know, like 10? Why, is there more in France? Of course. 324. You think that's 6? Which is like less than 300 divided by 6. It's pretty much nothing. I think that 6 out of 300 might be enough. Not pretty sure. It's like 2%. Good. It's not even 2%, that's 0.6%. Or 0.5%, sorry. I'm bad at math, do not, I'm tired. Anyways, you get my point. So yeah, make sure, do your research on the website, see if they have some job position open and stuff like that. Make sure that the project is junior friendly, not just the company, because some projects within a company do not allow for juniors to work on them. We talked about that. This is especially true for concept artists. For 3D, it's a bit easier, but there might be some requirement for some heavy 3D, like BioWare, Bungie, I guess. That's how you pronounce that. Number 2, you need to understand what the companies want. You are here to make money. You're not here to be an artist. You are here to make money through your art. They don't care about you as an artist. They care about you as being profitable asset for the company. Which means that you are making more money to the company than what you are costing. This is done through your art. The principle of a job is to make money for your employer. So they want you to be able to make money as soon and fast as possible. Stack79. Bungie is right. Welcome, Stack79. Nice to see you. Have you discovered the channel on Cold Burger Discord? Something like that? Anyways. Basically, a company is betting on you as a junior. They are betting on your potential to be profitable once they spend enough resources to train you enough to fit their mold. Basically, you will join. You will have to learn their pipeline, their process, as best as you can to do something up to their expectations. So they need to train you. And in order to train you, it costs them time and money and human resources because they need someone to train you. It's often a senior or something like that. Oh, really? Wow. Someone from the Crypto team, welcome, buddy. So yeah, they are spending time, resources, both human and financial, to train you. So you are costing them money at the beginning. And once you are trained and independent and autonomous enough, now you are starting to make bucks for them. And they are betting on you starting to make money for them as soon and as fast as possible. Because again, your job is to make money, not to be trained. And they are only thinking about their employees in terms of numbers and what they bring to the table, which is translated to numbers sooner or later. So the more you understand what they want right from the start, their process, their style, their art direction, their tools, their pipeline, the better you will be able to display that you understand that. With what? With your portfolio. Your portfolio, again, is a display on how you are working, what you are able to produce, what's your mindset, what's your process, what are your tools. And basically, as they are always afraid of losing money by hiring you, the role of your portfolio, not that on a notebook, tattoo that on your arm, something like that. The role of your portfolio is to bring comforting elements and arguments in order to dismiss their fears. It's made for them to start trusting you and feeling confident in what you are able to do. You're trying to reassure them thanks to your portfolio. Because the company is always thinking in fear. It's always, every time they see someone, it's the first question they would ask themselves is basically playing devil's advocate, and it would be like, what if that person fails to deliver up to our expectation? Is that person able to deliver up to our expectations? If that's yes, your portfolio might be considered. If that's no, you're out. Because they don't want to take a single risk. That's what I said last week. Even if you are imposter syndrome and you are hired, you need to trust the company because the company has been trying to keep you multiple times and you didn't give them enough of a reason for them to say no to you. So you need to trust the hiring process. They've been trying to tell you no all the time. And despite all of their effort, you already have enough arguments for them to say, hey, welcome to the family. That's fine. There's no risk with you. Congrats. So always understand what the company wants, which is you to make money for them. And also understand the process, their art style, how they make their stuff. And that's the part 3. Figure out how they are doing the pieces. It might be 3D, it might be animation, it might be VFX, it might be environment, it might be level design, it might be game design, story, concept art, illustration, promotional art, everything. Coding, hiring, sales, everything. For any company, not just the video game industry, every job, figure out what they want, how they are doing their business, basically. For art, it's mainly you need to understand their art direction, what are their visual codes. You need to understand their process, which is how they are doing an element from ID to concept to 3D to in-game or in the movie. And you also need to figure out the tools and software that they are using. Because let's say you are applying to Framestore. At least it was like this back in my days. I feel like I'm not granted when I say that. But what I've heard, what I knew at the time is that they only have a Linux ecosystem. So they only have Maya and Modo. And they don't have FreeS Max. So if you are like, hey, I'm a 3ds Max maximalist, I'm only using that, Framestore will be like, hey, sorry, we are not using that. But if you know Maya, in that case, hey, you're good. So you need to know the kind of software that they are using. Other companies, Ubisoft is using mainly 3ds Max. You also have Maya. You can do both. Quantic Dream, only Maya. They didn't have any 3ds Max license when I joined at the time. They were like, hey, do you want one? I was like, no, that's fine. I'm gonna learn Blender. But some companies are only on 3ds Max. So you need to understand the tools that they are using. And again, you need to check artists working there and figure out what the tools that they are using. And they are always displaying that on ArtStation and stuff like that. So just do your research. So understand their art direction and visual styles. Understand their process, how they are doing the asset, the pictures, the concept, the illustration, whatever. Figure out the tools and software that they are using. Next, step 4. Figure out what is expected from juniors. Because you will be a junior, so you won't be an art director. You won't be a senior when you are starting. So art director work on ArtStation or Instagram. Senior artists working at Blizzard or stuff like that. That's cool. That's the sexy stuff. That's the fancy stuff that will get you thousands of likes on ArtStation. But that's not what you will do as a junior. Why? Because seniors and art directors, they are here to handle the biggest, highest responsibilities on the visual side. Let's say you're working, you are designing a Marvel movie, like a new Iron Man. The title of the movie is Iron Man, so you better not screw up the suit, the mech suit of Iron Man, the design of the character, the pose, the functionality. So, because that movie might bring like $200 million to the box office, or even $1 billion now, because numbers are getting crazy in the movie theaters now. So, maybe just the design of the armor, because then that's on the posters. That's the asset that we'll see the most in the movie. This will be the toys, the costume for kids for Halloween and stuff like that. So this is a metric ton of money and responsibility. So it needs to look cool. So you won't give that to a junior without experience that won't be able to deliver and handle those responsibilities. You give that to a very experienced senior that is very proficient in make design. You give that to art directors that are used with maybe 20 years of experience in the movie industry to handle such high budget stuff. That's what the seniors are doing. They are doing the high-end, expensive, and sexy stuff that make the product sell or fail. As a junior, you will do basically everything that the seniors and art directors are not doing. It doesn't mean it's not sexy. It means it's the secondary or tertiary stuff, like the small props in the background, corridors, the door handle, the secondary zones and level in the game. I'm going to show you some portfolio examples after. But it might be some secondary zones, some small dungeons in the game or whatever that are still part of the game. It's not as important as the main zones or items of characters, but it still needs to be done anyways. That's your role as a junior, to do what needs to be done anyways, but that is not the highest responsibility stuff. So they are not here to do the fancy stuff. They are here to do what the art director and seniors don't have the time to do, but still needs to be done anyways. But as a junior, you need to show potential for growth and evolution mid to long term in order to raise the hierarchy and basically show that you are able to do that later. Junior character, you will be doing the NPCs, secondary NPCs and stuff like that. Keyframe, it's a bit harder as a junior, to be honest. I'm not even sure that keyframe artist is a job for a junior, to be honest. I've been doing some, but you are with keyframes, you might be stepping on the art director's job. So as a keyframe artist, I would not expect you to do that all the time. But in the movie industry, you might be susceptible to do way more keyframes in the gaming industry, because it's always keyframes. But I would not advocate to be a keyframe artist alone. I would advocate to be able to do also characters or environments and props. Keyframe may be your main stuff, but you're sure that you are able to do that. And this will be the only exception where I would say you do 50% keyframes in your portfolio and 50% character and props, or environment and props, instead of the 70-20-30% rule or 80-20% rule. This might be the only exception to the rule. because it's in the movie industry. But keyframe is stepping on the art director's steps and job. So you need to be careful with that by not stepping on someone else's job, especially if that person is higher than you. You need to show that you are able to do that, to show potentials. But you should not expect to do that all day long. I got trapped for that at Ubisoft because I was also doing a lot of keyframes. And I got asked to do very few keyframes at the beginning. Next. This is the most crucial part. You need to... Basically, if you are not getting hired out of school, generally you need to redo your portfolio or to rework on it. Or to add some new pieces. Again, don't try to save old pieces. Just do fresh ones, new ones up to your actual level. Don't save 2 years old pieces. Move on, do something new. But the problem with that is that people are always picking a shit portfolio subject. I'm gonna take the example of Bob. He's like doing fantasy stuff, like Arthurian legend and stuff like that, and trying to apply at Ubisoft for some kind of cars games, post-apocalyptic stuff. And it's like, boo! Why do they not respond to me? Or why are they not hiring me? Because your portfolio has nothing to do with what they do, you fucking idiot! So, you have been doing your research about the project and the companies hiring juniors. Now, because you have also done your research about their art direction, their process, their subject, about the games and stuff like that, pick few companies that have some common points. Like, for example, I'm going to take an example for junior work. I'm sorry, it's going to be mainly Ubisoft. But The Division, AAA game, open world, shooter, modern, military, kind of dark, kind of post-apocalyptic. Remember that. Ghost Recon, military, modern, shooter, open world. No, it's competitive, sorry. But military, shooter, modern, kind of post-apocalyptic, dark. It has... and realistic. Like The Division. So it has a lot of things in common. Now you pick Far Cry, modern, kinda military, got weapons and stuff, kinda post-apocalyptic, realistic, AAA, open world, first person shooter. You see, you have few stuff in common. Then you can pick Call of Duty. Big maps, so open world, shooter, realistic, AAA, military, modern. Same kind of subject. You pick Battlefield. Depends if it's a Battlefield that is modern or historical, but in any case, military, realistic, shooter, open world, realistic. You just have to figure out a subject that kinda sums that up. Put that in your portfolio. So it might be like, okay, let's do shooter in post-apocalyptic Paris. I've never been seeing that. It needs to be close enough to the subject of those companies and projects without being fan art and copy-paste of what they are doing. So let's do something parodical right there. I don't know. This is just parodical. Don't take me seriously. Let's say you do Yellow Jacket, the game, the open world shooter. Because apparently French people, we are famous for that. Let's say the situation has led to civil war. You have the Yellow Jackets that are now with bazookas and weapons and miniguns and stuff like that, fighting against the army. I have no idea. There's no political stance on that, by the way. This is just for entertainment. Okay, design something like that with Paris that has been destroyed with barricades in the streets, burn cars and stuff like that. Boom, you have a subject. You can design one faction against the military, then the weapons, the barricades, the environment, the Louvre that has been destroyed and stuff like that. What's your best advice building a relevant portfolio? What to focus on other than personal interest or trying to get into a specific company? I'm getting back into art after a really young hiatus. I was an art student we never pursued. Exactly what I said. Basically, figure out the subject of different companies, do an average of that, and do something similar. Same style, same art direction, same subject. Do not do fine art, of course, but do something like that. And this is how you get a relevant portfolio, because when a company will see that, it will be like, oh, this is pretty close to what we are doing. This is not finance, so this guy is still creating something, but similar style, similar process, similar environment, similar tools, similar lighting and mood, similar subject, similar historical period. This will fit pretty well in our team, because this guy would just have to adapt from that subject to another, but it's just a very small transition, a very small change. So this way, you are reducing the time they need to spend to train you. This way you become profitable sooner, and you have more chance to become a profitable asset to them. And that's how you comfort them into thinking that indeed, first of all, you won't be costing them too much money. And also you start becoming a profitable asset very fast. And this is how you dismiss their fears. This is how you reassure them. It's like, hey guys, what I'm showing you in my portfolio is proving you that I get it. I understand what you want. I just had the decency to not do fan art of what you are doing. This way I can show you that I can still have ideas on my own. But I'm displaying to you that I'm able to do exactly what you want. You just need to swap the subject. Give me 1 week to get the reference to understand the mood, and then I'm ready. Instead of waiting for 6 months before getting a grasp of the project. Good question, by the way. You want another example? This won't be for junior. Let's say you want to, your dream is to work on The Witcher. Let's say there is a Witcher 4. I have no idea, not breaking any NDAs. But let's say there's a Witcher 4. Let's pick some subjects that are similar. So The Witcher 4, what is that? It's open world, action RPG, third person, realistic, historical fantasy, dark, and AAA, and award winning. Okay, Assassin's Creed, AAA, award winning, open world, realistic. Now it's some kind of The Witcher like. It's good. Some Assassin's Creed are pretty dark, but anyways, there are some fantasy elements in Assassin's Creed right now, like Odyssey, Valhalla, Origins and stuff like that. There are some fantasy elements now. So the subject is, plus it's historical. So there are pretty common points. Let's pick, I don't know, Baldur's Gate, AAA, fantasy, RPG, open world, realistic, not historical. That's pretty much it. Pretty similar. Fable, open world, realistic, AAA, fantasy, kind of historical at some point. Very similar. Let's pick Elder Scrolls, open world, fantasy, based on historical, kind of dark, fantasy, award-winning, AAA. Same subject. So you just have to pick all of that, do another direction that is in between everything, which is just simple realistic with nice shapes. Then for the subject, you just have to pick something that could match all of that. So let's say, okay, I want historical, but fantasy at the same time. Let's say, again, I'm picking some French example right here. But let's say we are doing Middle Age in France. So we have all the nice castles that we have in France, with all the myths and legends that are true. So the White Ladies, the Gorgles, the Dahu, the Beast of Gévaudan, Morgan Le Fay, unicorns, Siren Melusine, stuff like that. So you have the fantasy element, plus you can add Inquisition if you want to have some kind of dark and occult stuff with the Qatar, the heretics and stuff like that that we had in the south of France. Boom. You have dark, you have fantasy, you have historical, you have realistic, you have open world. You just need to do like The Witcher like. In France, Middle Age, Inquisition with all the legends that are true. Boom. You have your subject. For your portfolio now. About the subject, you don't need to write the entire story. Nobody cares. This is the role of an entire development team across 3 to 5 years of development. You're just one person in your bedroom doing a portfolio. Pick just 1 or 2 moments. That's good enough. Just pick 1 or 2 moments. You made few pieces out of that. Don't tell something hard. Might just be, okay, it's a church with heretics summoning demons in it. Good. Okay, it's a forest with the beast of Jevedan in it. It's a beast of Jevedan Slayer. Good. It's a forest with some caves, some bones, stuff like that. That's good. Oh, it's the forest of Brittany with Morgan Le Fay and Merlin. Good. That's fine. It's an heretic castle where heretics are hiding. Good. That's fine. You know what it is. We understand the references. It's grounded. It's not something out of nowhere without reference. So we get it. We get it. So that's for concept art. For example, you are doing 3D. You can also pick some nice concept art in that subject that are kind of similar to what they are doing and do some 3D assets, some environments, whatever. For 3D, as it takes a lot more time to do the pieces, it might be 4 to 6 finished characters. If you are doing 3D character art, it might be 3 to 5 environments or level designs. Level art, sorry, not level designs. Maybe some skulls, stuff like that. Same with animation, it might be like 30 different small animations, might be enough. As long as you are displaying your skills. Between 10 to 20 animations might be enough. I'm not versed enough in animation, but I'm gonna ask my buddy working as a professional animator to get some answers about that precisely, but you get the point. You get the point. For concept art, 15 to 20 pages is good enough. And you do an entire portfolio of that. That's good. Then, how to reach out to the companies. 3 different ways to do that. 4, actually. The first one might be during the jury if you're a student and you are professional doing the jury at the end of the year. In that case, you're already doing that while presenting your work. That's good. That's the most direct way. And sometimes they're hiring you a few days after. If you're good enough and in a good enough school. Second one might be in person. So you are going to the company if it's nearby. I would not really advocate for that, to be honest. It's kind of... because sometimes you are arriving. Because everything is under NDA. Everything is locked behind doors with magnetic cards and stuff like that. But just going to a receptionist. There's a receptionist or an HR at the entrance of the building. And if you say, hey, I would like to give a portfolio and a spontaneous application for... can you talk to the art director about that? The art director is very busy, might be in a meeting. So you might be disturbing when you arrive. So it might not be the best way to do that. If you are doing that through email, well, that's the most regular way to do so. My main advice, I know that with the lockdowns and the current health situation, it might be a bit tougher right now. I hope it's going back to normal pretty soon. But if you have some industry conventions or industry meetings or industry events nearby, like, I don't know, IFCC in Croatia, Trojan Horse was a unicorn, Lightbox, Firestarter, IAMAG, if it still exists. In the past, there was Industry Workshop too. There are other events. Check out the companies that will be present, get a ticket, and go see them in person. I kid you not, this is the best way to get a job because you are not a random address, email address sent to a mailbox. You're a real person talking to a real person, establishing contact with that person, displaying your portfolio in person. And this is way better. I have an anecdote about that. 2018. I wanted to apply to Framestore when I was in London and going to industry workshop. I went to Framestore in person, so I did that mistake. It was the cringiest moment in my entire career because you arrive. It was raining. I was with a shitty coat looking like shit. Inside there was 2 receptionists, like they were looking like some barmaids or stewards with full suit, tie, nice skirt, nice shirt, proper 3-star hotel receptionist. I was completely drenched. I was looking like a rat. Hello, this is for spontaneous application. They were just looking at each other. It was so cringe. I'm like, okay, just wait there. Here's a coffee. You're like, shit, I'm not in the right place. I'm not looking the right way to apply. They were like telling me, hey, we're gonna see if the art director can receive you, which guess what? It can't because the art director is always in meetings and it's always busy. It was like, okay, the art director is not available, but you can send it to this private email. I sent it, never got any answer, never got read. I don't even know if the address existed really. I didn't get any error message, but it might be a trash email. Maybe a spam one. 2 months after, I was in another event. Same portfolio. There was a stand for Framestore. There was a guy. It was I think it was Dan Baker, but I might be wrong. I don't remember the name exactly. But he was one of the guys working on Blade Runner. I had exactly the same portfolio that the one I sent. I showed it to him. He was like, dude, this is fantastic. Give me your email address. If you're working in fantasy, we're gonna work with you. This is the power of being in person. Because it was the same portfolio, same work. I was the same person. It was just different than being just an email address going to a trash box. Instead, it was just being a person, seeing another person, establishing rapport, establishing contact, and talking, and establishing a relationship, and making that so much easier. So that's why conventions, industry meetings, industry events are so good. In worst case scenario, in conventions and industry meetings and events, you have no opportunity. You show your work and people are not interested or telling you, hey, it might be a bit not good enough yet. One question you can ask that I've been asking all the time, I have another anecdote about that. It's a question like, hey, okay, I acknowledge it's not good enough right now. Please, can you tell me what I would need to improve and do in order to make my work reach up to your expectations? And you will get so much invaluable piece of advice and feedback thanks to that question. Plus, it shows that you are very dedicated and very motivated, willing to do the work, and that person might be remembering you in the future, like, okay, do this, reapply in 6 months. They'll remember your name. They are not bullshitting you. I did that again in industry workshop in London, 2018. I wanted to see the ILM guys, like Timothy Rodriguez, Gael Seguillon, stuff like that. They were kind of people I knew already. But there was Jason Hawley, he was the art director of ILM at the time. I don't know if he still is, probably. He was the VFX supervisor, art director, very high-end guy. He did a presentation on the stuff they are doing at ILM. And the last day, I was seeing that guy. He was with his wife and his kids, looking at the presentation. I was like, Excuse me, sir, you're Jason Hawley. Yes, why? May I borrow you 5 minutes of your time just to show you my portfolio? I was like, yeah, sure. So I got my iPad, showed him my work, and he was like, oh, this is good. It has potential. It's just lacking this, and this. So I was like, okay, no problem. I was asking that question, what could I do in order to improve on those subjects, on those points, in order to reach up to your expectations at ILM? And these guys were like, okay, I'm going to give you my email address. You do this, this, this. I'm going to give you feedbacks. Fucking Jason Hawley. He gave me a few feedbacks with time. Maybe within the 3 months after that. It was so good. Another anecdote that I got. I am at 2019. I still have the card somewhere. Probably at my parents' home. But basically, there was some portfolio review. First of all, we got a portfolio review by Anthony F. Tekari, a buddy of mine. His buddy was Bob. The famous Bob. We were on a couch with Anthony F. Tekari, was doing some portfolio review. He's a guy working at Blizzard as a maid painter, an environment designer. And again, same question at the end of the portfolio review. Hey, what do I need to improve and do in order to make my work reach up to your expectations at Blizzard, to become a maid painter or environment designer? We spent 1 hour and a half with that guy. He was explaining us everything. Like, okay, do that, learn that software, learn that to do. Have you heard about this? And this plugin doing the UVs for you, it's so cool. This guy was sharing bits and bits and bits of knowledge. You've done that with Anthony F. Tekari. We're doing that. We are with Bob. So we are doing that with Anthony F. Tekari. With that, we go Fujita. We talked with him for 2 hours about VR and stuff like that. And we did that with Feng Zhu. He had a bit less time because Feng Zhu was a magnet attracting so much people, but at least we got the feedback from Feng Zhu. At some point, there was some portfolio review by the Raphael Lacoste, the art director at Ubisoft. And again, it was a different question. He was already knowing me because I contacted him before. Previously, I wanted to see him. And he knew I was working at Ubisoft, so yeah, you probably heard about my name. But he was apparently knowing about me and was very surprised about that. At least French people know each other, I guess. They're a very small community. It was my portfolio review and it was like, yeah, that's pretty good. I was working at Ubisoft at the time. It was, yep. And basically, at the end, I asked him a question like, hey, what do I need to do in order to join you at Ubisoft Montreal? Look at the right, look at the left. Give me your card, please. What? Your badge. Or visit card, whatever. Yeah, sure. I gave him my... I unplugged my visit card. I gave him. Grabbed a pen. He wrote me his private Gmail address. At the back of it, he was like, don't give it to anyone. Send me your portfolio. And I'm gonna send it to the right people. So I did that the night after the event. And a few days after, I got contacted by Ubisoft Nadio, which is basically the promotional art at Ubisoft Canada. Unfortunately, we didn't close the deal because I was not interested, but they wanted me to do some promotional art for them. It would have implied moving to Canada, and I didn't want that at the time. That's the power of asking that question. That question is so strong. This is just me with a small level. Imagine if you're a fucking monster. I call those kids now, this new generation of artists, they are so good. Imagine if you ask that question, if you have if you dare to ask that question, you can go so far, so fucking far. So this is how to approach companies in general. What if it works? Well, then you have the interviews. It's mainly to know who you are, what is your personality, if you are congruent with what you have displayed on social media and on your portfolio. The second part generally is art test. There might or might not be an art test, but for juniors, there's generally an art test. Just need to stick to it, to follow the brief to the letter, and to respect every part of the brief and deliver in time and good enough. It's like a test to see if you are indeed congruent and able to deliver in time and good enough. Generally, an art test is designed to be hard. So don't be afraid of that. Don't be discouraged. It's meant to challenge you and to push you even beyond what you are already knowing how to do. Then if you succeed the art test, there are generally some negotiations about salary, work condition, and stuff like that. You need to make sure that you negotiate properly to not get wrecked. We're going to talk about that probably tomorrow. It's all about signing papers and stuff like that if it goes well. What if it does not work? Basically, you will have maybe 3 or 4 months to do your new portfolio, to rework on it with that new subject, because you have done your research and figure out what to put in your portfolio. So it takes maybe 3 to 4 months to do. Then when you are applying doesn't take that much time. It's maybe 15 minutes per day for a few weeks. And you might be waiting maybe 3 more months for the answers. It's a bit tough. It's a bit being in the limbos at the time. I know it's kind of hard. In the meantime, you're applying. At the same time, you can work on new pieces of portfolio. So maybe you establish another subject that complements the first one. And you're already starting to make a new portfolio about that. So worst case scenario, 3 or 4 months after you see you have nothing. Guess what? You have a new, fresh portfolio. And you can start applying again. In 3 months, every company will have forgotten about you. And if they've remembered about you, and they see new, fresh pieces, they will be like, fuck, that person produced an entirely new portfolio that complements the first one. Now, this person might be ready and displaying enough talent and knowledge in order to join us. And this is an endless circle. This way, you have no time with 0 things to do. And let's say it fails. I mean, as you don't have a deadline, as you are not like, I'm doing my portfolio, then I'm applying. This is the first time. But when you are applying, you're already working on a new portfolio. Then it's kind of endless. Once you have that new portfolio, you start applying again. It's kind of piggyback on each other. See what I mean? So this way, once you have done your portfolio the first time, now you don't have any moments without anything available for you to display. You always have new, fresh, prospective pieces of work to display and to send to clients. This is how you keep moving and trying again and again until you succeed. It might not work the first time, but when you know it didn't work, you are already ready to retry again, and so on. So you apply again with a new portfolio. In this industry, games, dev, how in demand are traditional artists and drawing, or do you want to be more focused on digital or just have a fundamental grasp of creating digitally? Traditional skills are not mandatory anymore, to be honest. But if you can use the fundamentals that you have and transpose that to digital, that's how you utilize traditional skills. But everything is done, like 99% of stuff are done digitally. There are still few exceptions working a bit traditionally, but even them, they know how to work digitally. So the digital work is mandatory now, and traditional work is a nice complement. It can be a starting point, but it can also be a nice complement. But if I was you, I would not display traditional art in a video game portfolio. That's just my opinion. Unless maybe you have insanely good drawing skills. Maybe 1 or 2 sheets just to show that you are able to do that on Sketchbook. This way the art director knows that if you are, let's say, at a meeting, you just have a napkin or Sketchbook and he's like, shit, I need a quick concept in like 1 hour before that brief. You don't have your tablet and stuff like that. Can you do that? I say like, yeah, sure. Bring a pen, I'm doing that in my sketchbook. As my sketchbook, just show it. It's fine. But this is a complement. This is not the focus anymore. Yeah, get a Wacom tablet, and you will be able to transpose your traditional skins into digital pretty easily. That's it. And you do that until you succeed. Always trying, always doing your best. By the way, banish. I will try. Do you? Yeah, banish the term I will try or try. Replace that by do your best. I'm doing my best right now. I was about to say I'm trying to do that, but I'm working on that, let's say. Because when you say I will try, it implies potential failures, and as they are afraid, as companies are risk averse, potential failure, as they are playing devil's advocates, it's like anxiety, as we mentioned last week. Potential failure in their head is like already too much failure. I don't want that. I will do my best. Shows dedication and motivation. It's comforting. Yeah, that's how it works. My cat is snoring while sleeping. Any questions? This is gonna kind of a short and concise show. Also, those that you talked about earlier on your stream have any place where he shares his work? Which one? The one with art director level or Bob? Oh, I need to show some portfolio. You're right. Bob, or the first dude, I'm gonna send it to you as a private message. I don't want to dox the guy. But I've been talking to that guy recently, 2 days ago. Then we had a chat with AZ and I was like, I never screamed that much during a fucking consultation. This guy was driving me nuts. He's so good. He has been drawing so much stuff so fast. And he's scrolling through dozens and dozens of sheets while shitting on his work like, nah, that's not good enough. I'm not posting that. And at some point I was like, dude, stop. This is painful. First to see that much work. What you're showing there is what a regular artist might be doing in 5 years. And then he was like, yeah, really? I did that in 3 weeks. Shut the fuck up, motherfucker! You're a fucking machine! So it's like, yeah. It's painful. Plus there's so much good stuff and he's shitting on that. It's like, dude, fuck off. But like, dude, send me all your work in the last 3 years. I'm doing a portfolio for you. I don't give a shit. And you are displaying that, no question asked. You are sending that to Shady, Safari, to ILM, to fucking Blizzard, to everywhere. I don't care. I was so pissed. I was like, dude, I would be ready to make a fake address, and to pretend to be you, to negotiate for you, just to get your fucking job out of the shithole where you live. Because this guy is, it's been 5 years. This guy is so good. And he wants to get out of his country, which is Ukraine. He wants to get a green card and stuff like that. And I was like, dude, you have your fucking green card in your hard drive. You're just not showing that to anyone because of your shitty imposter syndrome. But you have your green card. You have dozens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of work in your hard drive. And you are not sharing that to the world. Don't get surprised if nobody hires you if you are not showing the masterpiece that you are producing. Imposter syndrome. But yeah, let's have a look at a few portfolios. I'm gonna display 2. Both of them were students of mine, by the way. I'm gonna share a third one at some point. Oh, he posted new stuff. Wow. Holy shit, this guy's so good. All right, let's share some work. I'm not taking credit for their success. I've just been one of their teachers, telling them, hey, stick to what you are doing, you are in a good direction. My buddy Quentin Gillet, let's talk French for a second. Nobody was betting on him. He had to redo his second year at school. Teachers were not betting that much on him when he was at school. This was the kind of stuff he was doing. So, not bad, not good either. It's kind of okay. And I talked to him like, hey, dude, try to stick to what they are doing at Ubisoft or Tomb Raider. He was a big fan of Tomb Raider. Do your best. And let's see what happened. And he was very good at traditional drawing too. It was what he did when he was a student. It was a bit of disconstructed environment design because there was a bit of everything, no structure. And I was like, hey, dude, do some more post-apocalyptic realistic stuff. He's not showing that, but he had a portfolio made for the Division and stuff like that. He got his artist on the Division at Ubisoft and he got hired. And this is the kind of junior work he was doing. So you have the Ubisoft ANSI seal, you have the Ubisoft seal, it's official. So you see, it's pretty fancy work. It's not the main zone, it's probably just one of the few small dungeons or area when you have like a secondary quest or repeatable quest. It still needs to be done anyways. And it shares the art direction of the Division with very geometric stuff. You have a pathway, you have the light guiding you, you have the tags, you have very nice renderings. It's pretty good. Nice for the bashing, stuff like that. It's perfectible because it's junior work, but it's still pretty cool. So with that, it's insanely cool. Look at that. Pretty good. A lot of action. It's more in-game. It's not some nice keyframe, it's more in-game to... You can imagine that this is your character. You should have just a crosshair in the middle of the screen. This can be in-game. This is so good. Look at that. Go give him some likes. It's a shame he has only 32. That's not normal. Look at that. This is so good. So this is junior work. It's more in-game. It's less of the keyframes and the fancy wow stuff that you see in the trailers. It's more keyframes about what's going on in-game in some secondary zones and stuff like that. And then, with only 1.5 years of experience, he moved to Assassin's Creed Valhalla. This is incredible. 1.5 years already on Assassin's Creed Valhalla. What else do you want? Again, it's junior work. It's perfectible. Yeah, there's a nice mood. Nice lighting, very pastel, because Assassin's Creed Valhalla is very pastel. Still junior work, but sticking to the mood and art direction that you have in game. Look at that. Not bad. Same with the characters, there are some NPCs. Very important figure who is crowning the King of Ireland. This is still a very important character, I guess. Who's that guy? These are some gear. You see, in terms of level, it's good. But it's not something where you spend like 400 hours on it. Can I get to zoom the picture, please? Our station is dying right now. You see, it's still kind of rough. There's no need to polish that. Of course you can. It's still rough. It's perfectible, but it's good enough. You don't need to have crazy technique to polish everything up to crazy level. Look at that. This is way more than enough. Give that to a 3D modeler, you can model that pretty easily. No problem. Nice keyframe. Perspective is a bit off, but who cares? It's a keyframe. It's a mood. It's a druid. It's probably an NPC that you are talking to at some point. Lighting is very nice. No need for more. It's enough for people to model that. This is my buddy Quentin. He was a buddy of mine, and he was a student of mine. I followed him along the hiring process of at Ubisoft. That's it. And this is Melisande Armor. This was the portfolio that she showed at the end of her class. So very few stuff. It's still very good. And before I get to the twist of her story, the entire school, the teacher, the director were telling her, hey, stop doing only your stuff. Stop only sticking to that style. It has no future. You need to have a more diverse portfolio. You need to be a jack of all trades. And she was like, no, I don't like that. I want to do my own stuff. I want to work at Riot and stuff like that. And with one other teacher, Maxence Berger, we were the only ones in our entire scholarship to tell her, hey, what you're doing is so fucking good. Be stubborn, stick to that. Just make sure it sticks to the Riot aesthetic. Guess what? Out of school, 22 years old, got an internship at Riot Games. In the midst of COVID, by the way. Boom. By the power of sticking to that. Instead of the school telling her, hey, this has no future, you should diversify. Just to get us some posters to print on the school. Stupid. Look at that. 2.6k likes. This could be a Valorant character. So many people modeled that character in 3D. So with that, 1.7 likes. Pretty good. Look at the props. I'm telling it publicly, once I have a bit more money, I'm hiring that person. I'm hiring her to design my house. I want her style on my house. Her props are so good. Look at that. Look at that chest. It's so great. And the school was telling her, hey, this has no future. You should diversify. You should have a bit of everything, and you should stick to our subject at school. And she stick to that because she knew it was what Riot wanted. And this style, I want that for my house. No problem. I want her to be like the lead concept art on my house. No problem. Everything she does is so great. It has so much charm. The faces are so cute. So much expressions in the face. I'm kind of sad because she's not sharing that much stuff. But look at this face. It's so expressive and cute. It's with the eyes. And this guy, I've been a teacher. He was a classmate of him. He had to redo the second year too. Not because he was bad. He was actually one of the best in our class, if not the best. But he was a bit stubborn, even more than me. And he was not going at that many classes. Not attending that many courses. Look at this. This was done 3 years ago when he was a student. Look at the colors. They are so perfect. The brush strokes are so efficient. The sketches. There's no 3D. He was never using 3D. This guy is a master at perspective. It's so good. There's no 3D into that. He's one of those few guys that don't need 3D. Look at that. Let's go at everything. Environment, props, keyframe, character, rendering. Look at the silhouettes. This guy was very good at traditional drawing too. This is the few traditional bits of work that he shared. And if you have that level of traditional, yeah, sure. Share it. Look at that. Some studies. These are studies done in 1 hour. Can you do that in 1 hour? Certainly can't. This is new. Wow. Jablonski vibe. And look at that. Boom, baby. This is so good. So freaking good. And guess what? With that portfolio, of course, it's looking a lot like what you see in Dishonored in Arkane Studio. Arkane Studio is not hiring juniors. They only want seniors with at least 7 years of experience. What did I say to him? Come back in 3 years. This peachy, if you see what he does at Dontnod now. Oh, you are working at Dontnod? Really? But yeah, he's working at Dontnod, which is kind of the same style. This proves my point that you need to do what the company is already doing. Oh, hello Alexia, how are you doing? Oh, nice to see you. It's been a while. Let's have a chat at some point. Are you still in Lyon or are you in Paris, by the way? Send it to me as a DM on Discord. I don't want to dox you. Let's have a chat at some point. It's been such a long time. Yeah, Basil is so good at Dontnod. Yeah, on Discord if you want. Have you joined the Discord of the community? Or send me a message on Facebook. I don't care. We're gonna have a chat at some point. Yeah, this proves my point that you just need to do what the company is doing. And this, oh my god, this is like Zach. Do you remember of Zach Retz? Remember me of that guy or Nathan Folks? You can feel the inspiration of Zach Retz. Especially his old stuff. Like this. Kind of the same vibe. This reminds me of Andrew Wong too. Thanks. And this reminds me a lot of the studies of Henry Wong. The graphic, very stylized. This guy is so good. Yeah, this guy's so strong. He knows how to do everything. I need to do some studies like that. This is so good. This proves my point that pick some companies that are hiring juniors, figure out what they want in terms of styles, process, tools, pipeline, art direction, visual codes, subjects. Do something very close to that. Apply. And guess what? You get a job. Boom. That's it. This is the end of the presentation for today about how do you get your first job. I think this proves my point. I'm gonna join the Discord chat if you have some questions about today's presentation. It's the next painting. I have no idea, dude. So much stuff to do, dude. Let's be accountable. Okay, let's be accountable. Guess what? Hear me out. I gotta corner myself. Because I think I'm procrastinating on that. No, I don't think so. I am procrastinating on that. You know what? Tomorrow, after the stream, drawing stream till 1 a.m. I'm getting trapped all the time because I'm not eating before. And this is acted so that live. But tomorrow, drawing stream together. I'm gonna force myself to eat before. And to take my dispositions before. Let's do that. Let's get cornered. Just to prove the point about procrastination. Good animation review. Wow, thank you, buddy. Thanks for the compliment. Nice to see you. Welcome to the live. Here we go. I'm gonna join the Discord chat if you want to further discuss what we have presented today. If you want to share some testimonies, if you still have some questions about that, I'm gonna join. If you want to join, there's a link for the Discord down below. You join, you select your role, and then you have the voice chat on the bottom left called stream. You can join. In the meantime, oh, nice, Thibaut. Hello, buddy. How you doing, man? In the meantime, for those who are watching the replays on YouTube, feel free to subscribe. Hit a like. If you want to share some comments, some other opinions, other points of view on what has been presented, feel free to share that. I would love to discuss that and to find some solution with you, to further address the problem. If you want to interact live, feel free to join us on Twitch. And feel free to join the Discord community down below. We are building a very nice community made of very highly motivated people that are kicking each other in the butt in order to become the next generation of great artists. There we go. Hope you enjoyed today. It was a pretty nice presentation. A lot of gems. Any question before we left? I'm gonna leave like 30 seconds in the chat. Thanks, Tassila. Of course, I cannot explain the how for every bit and go deep, otherwise it would take like 20 hours. But we get the TLDR version of that. Thanks, Stax. Anyways, see you tomorrow. Forscock, thanks, man. Also, if you really want to support the channel aside from the financial side, feel free to share the links towards the stream, or the videos, or the Discord, or both, to people that you might think that you think might find it useful to hear about that, to learn those things. If you know aspiring artists, art students that want to learn, that are highly motivated, that want to learn the mindset, in addition to what the school are teaching, which are mainly the techniques. We are complementing school, not doing some kind of rivalry with them. But they are very busy teaching you a lot of the techniques already because there's so much to learn. And I'm here to hopefully do my best to teach you the mindset, or to be a thriving artist, or to grow as a person, as an artist. This is borderline personal development, but artist version. It might be how to handle negotiation. You might hear a lot of tips that you would never hear anywhere else. This is not pretentious. It's just that some of those stuffs are pretty taboo to talk about, like handling all the shitty questions that they might ask you during the negotiations. And guess what? Tomorrow we are talking about negotiations and how to handle all those loaded questions. Like, if you were an animal, what would I be and why? What is your favorite color? Can you tell me about your defaults and your qualities? Don't you think you're a bit young for that job? What made you think you are qualified for those jobs? All those tricky questions, we're gonna destroy them tomorrow. Like that. Anyways, thanks a lot for coming to tonight. I think we broke a record today of 10 viewers. If you don't want to miss anything, feel free to subscribe on or just to follow on Twitch. Subscribe is for YouTube. You can also sub, by the way, if you want. But feel free to follow on Twitch. Feel free to join the Discord. This way you get any announcement before everyone else. You can discuss with the community. And tomorrow we are destroying interviews and loaded questions. Have a nice evening, guys and gals. And take care.